UFC 309 Jones versus Miocic is this weekend. We've already given you your full fight analysis and breakdown. We've given you your quick picks. I'm here today to give you my thoughts on the card, bottom to top, on the entire card from a betting perspective, what I think of the fights, if I'm going to bet anything or not, and I'm going to give you my parlay of the week at the very end of this video, so stay tuned. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the 10-7 MMA. I'm DS, and I'm here today, like I said in the little intro, I'm here to break down the entire card for you, bottom to top. I'm going to give you all of your best bets. If this is your first time viewing one of these videos of ours, basically, I'm going to go through every card. I'm going to start with the bottom, and I'm going to just kind of quickly go through every single fight and what my thoughts are on the fight from a betting perspective, and if I will be making any official bets on every single fight that I go through. Just as a little side note, last week I gave you 8. One fight was canceled. 6 of 7 hit. So if you follow Dino Bam Bam, if you listen to the breakdown, the quick picks and all that, Dino Bam Bam swept the entire card last week, 100%. Even got most of the methods correct. So listen, we do all this stuff for you guys. We do all the research, hours and hours of research up front. The least you can do is hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, right? And we do all this, we put all this time in for you guys. So just do me a favor and take a second and hit that subscribe button so that we can continue to give you some really good analysis and some best bets and picks and all that good stuff. All right. All that being said, I'm going to jump right into it. The first fight on the card of UFC 309 Jones versus Miocic this weekend is Veronica Hardy. She's taking on Eduarda Moura. This is an interesting women's fight, man. I really like Veronica Hardy. If you saw the breakdown video, if you saw the quick picks, you know that both Dino and I are taking Veronica Hardy in this fight. I don't usually like to bet early card women's fights, truthfully, but listen, man, I do like Veronica Hardy on the money line here. At minus 135, I think you're getting pretty good value. Eduarda Moura is the much more one-dimensional fighter. She's really more a jiu-jitsu ace than anything else. Veronica Hardy's fought better competition, and she's really looked to have momentum on her side at this point. I am going to take her as one of my – I got 9 bets on the card. This is going to be the first one of them. Veronica Hardy on the money line at minus 135. Moving on to the next fight of the card, we've got Oban Elliot. He is taking on Bassil Hafez. I'm going to tell you straight up, I am not betting this fight. I'm not betting it because I personally have gone back and forth on this one. It's very 50-50 to me. Dino Bam Bam is picking, I'm pretty sure he picked Bassil Hafez. I'm taking Oban Elliot. The odds are too crazy to me. Minus 285. Oban Elliot has not really impressed me thus far. I mean, I know he's on a 7-fight win streak, and, you know, he's got some great credentials back in the UK and all that stuff. All that's great. Bassil Hafez is really dangerous. He's got a lot more power than Oban Elliot, and he's really good in the wrestling too. So I think this fight very well could just straight up go Bassil Hafez's way. If I was going to bet anything, I think a sprinkle, Bassil Hafez by knockout, would be a pretty good sprinkle. I am not parlaying this, certainly. I just think it's too risky. So no official bet on this one. But like I said, if you were going to sprinkle anything, I would sprinkle Bassil Hafez by knockout. Moving on, next fight on the card, third one, it is Gall. He is taking on Ramiz Brahimaj. Man, this is like we kind of said in the breakdown. This is a pretty low level fight, truthfully. Gall's been in the UFC forever. He's got an interesting resume in that almost all but one of his professional MMA fights have been in the UFC, and he's had mixed results, right? He's the guy that introduced CM Punk to the UFC, if you remember. And he's taking on Ramiz Brahimaj, who is very much a specialist. He is a jiu-jitsu ace. He doesn't have anything at all on the feet. I expect Gall to be a little bit better on the feet. It's a close one, man. It's a pretty low level. I expect Gall to win. I am not betting the money line on this. But what I'm fairly confident in this one is the over 2.5 at minus 180. Sure, it could be a little bit better. Minus 180 is getting a little bit wide there. I just don't really see a finish here. These guys are both pretty high level on the ground. I expect them to kind of cancel each other out, truthfully. And I expect Gall to eke out a close decision win in this one. So my official bet is going to be the over 2.5 at -180. Moving on. Next fight on the card, we have got Marcin Tybura. He is taking on Jhonata Diniz. This was supposed to be Derek Lewis versus Jhonata Diniz. And I likely would not have been making any bets on that because then you would have had two powerful strikers going against each other. This is not that, however. So now we have Marcin Tybura stepping in. And Marcin Tybura, if you know anything, he's okay on the feet. He's not bad. But more than anything, he loves the wrestling, right? He wants to get you down and just kind of wear you down. Is he a huge submission threat? Not necessarily. Jhonata Diniz, though, fairly early in his MMA career, he is more one-dimensional for sure, right? He is a high-level kickboxer. He's got great power. It's very possible that Jhonata Diniz knocks Marcin Tybura out in the first round. It is possible. For the official picks, I did take Marcin Tybura by decision, but it's too risky for me. I'm going to be skipping this one from a betting perspective. I could see a wide range of outcomes. I could see Marcin Tybura by decision. I could see him by sub too, technically. I could see Jhonata Diniz just straight up knocking him out in the first round. So I am simply not going to bet it, and I'm going to skip it. Moving on. Next fight on the card, we have got Jim fucking Miller. He is taking on Damon Jackson. Two absolute veterans of the sport. Jim Miller, most fights, most finishes, or most fights, most wins in the UFC, I'm sorry. Damon Jackson also been around for a hot-ass minute. Both these guys really high level on the ground. Jim Miller coming off a bad beatdown to Bobby Green. So don't love that. If this was a year ago even, and before the Bobby Green fight, I would probably be seeing plus money, plus 150 on Jim Miller. That's not bad, man. I might consider actually sprinkling that. I don't feel safe putting it in as a parlay piece. Damon Jackson, a lot less miles on his body, even though he's only like 4 years younger, I want to say. But I'm not going to be taking anybody on the money line. However, going back, similar kind of thing here. I'm going to take the over, man. I'm taking over 2.5 rounds. I wish it was 1.5 rounds. It would obviously, I'd feel a little bit safer there. But at -154, I don't really see either of these guys getting finished by the other. Jim Miller's probably a little bit better on the feet. Damon Jackson could land a big shot, but I think this fight eventually will get to the ground, and we will see some ground fighting. And Damon Jackson maybe has the better jiu-jitsu. It's tough, man. This is a close one. I think both these guys are smart and vet savvy enough to not get finished. So my official bet is the over 2.5 at -154. All right, next fight on the card is Chris Weidman. He is taking on Eryk, ya boy Anders. Man, this is an interesting fight. I personally have the belief that Chris Weidman probably should have retired, but I guess he doesn't want to go out on a loss. He feels that he has a good chance here. Obviously, Vegas feels that he has a good chance here. He's only a plus 102 underdog to Eryk Anders, who is considerably younger, like 5 or 6 years younger than him. If we're talking peaks, guys, here, it's not close. Chris Weidman, legend of the sport. Eryk Anders has had some nice moments and some fights. Still has a lot of power for sure. Is very athletic, explosive, even now. So he definitely is dangerous for somebody like Chris Weidman. But listen, Chris Weidman is in his advanced age at this point, has a lot of miles on his body, is coming off one of the most brutal leg injuries that we've ever seen in the sport. And obviously hasn't looked great. Has looked very slow, very static on the feet. So, man, I'm picking Eryk Anders to win this one, officially. Dino Bam Bam is actually picking Chris Weidman. And this is a close one, man. I don't feel comfortable picking either one of these guys and certainly not ruining a parlay with either one of them. If you feel strongly, it's your money, man. Do whatever the hell you want to do. But what I am going to bet in this one is the over 2.5 rounds. It's at -215. I think, they're not the best odds for an over, right? Especially over 2.5. But I do expect whoever wins this to win by decision. If you listen to the breakdown and the quick picks, Dino Bam Bam made a good point. He believes that they're in New York. The UFC wants to do Chris Weidman a solid. If there's any chance for them to give this to Chris Weidman in a decision, they probably will, right? It's very possible. I just don't feel comfortable taking it. But if you like it, Chris Weidman at plus money, man, again, if we're comparing peak to peak, it's not close. Chris Weidman is a legend. And, even a few years ago, this wouldn't even be a thought, right? But I am comfortable taking the over 2.5 here. That is my official bet at -215. All right, guys. Moving on to the next fight, which is Jonathan Martinez. He is taking on Marcus McGhee. Man, taking betting aside for a second, this is going to be a fun-ass fight. Jonathan Martinez, we know he's got the brutal leg kicks. He does a great job staying out of the way of big shots. Yes, he lost to Jose Aldo last time, but Jose Aldo's a legend, and he's having a career resurgence that, of course, Mario Batista kind of shat on. That's why everybody hates Mario Batista now. Marcus McGhee, man, he's tough as hell, and he's got big power. He's got big power. One thing I mentioned in the full breakdown video is I am a little concerned with Jonathan Martinez going for the leg kicks and somebody like Marcus McGhee who loves throwing those overhands, potentially landing a big overhand. But, man, it's just too enticing for me. Jonathan Martinez at plus 120 on the money line, I just think is a better fighter. He's just simply better. And overall, I think he is a tier above Marcus McGhee. Now, Marcus McGhee surprised me in the past, man. But listen, I don't think you're going to get these kind of odds. This is a big step up in competition for Marcus McGhee. Jonathan Martinez literally just fought Jose Aldo. So this is a pretty straightforward one to me, man. It's a dog, but I'm going to take him. I'm taking Jonathan Martinez on the money line at plus 120. So that will be my official bet for this fight. I'm taking the underdog at Jonathan Martinez at plus money, plus 120. Moving on. Next fight on the card, we've got Mauricio Ruffy, who is now a minus 900. These odds have absolutely swelled. When we did the original breakdown video, it was minus 700. So in like a day and a half, the odds have swelled even more. James Llontop is his opponent. He is a plus 600 underdog. Look, man, Mauricio Ruffy is one of the most exciting up-and-coming prospects. He is absolutely going to win this fight, and I think he's going to do it in flashy fashion, right? I think he's coming out here. There's a reason that they're putting him on a Jon Jones card, one that is, let's be honest, very top-heavy. There isn't a ton of name value here. There's a lot of old veterans, right? A ton of name value outside of people that are 35 years old, right? So this is one for the true MMA fans. If you've watched any fights of Mauricio Ruffy, you know how exciting he is. He's got that kind of early McGregor fighting style, the kind of karate stance and things like that. He's dangerous as hell on the ground. He's dangerous as hell on the feet. I personally think he's going to get a knockout here. I think that he's coming out to make a statement. He's fighting from the fighting nerds. They have very high fight IQ. These guys know what they're doing over there. So, yes, he's going to win, but obviously we're not going to bet him at minus 900. What we are going to bet him is by finish, right? Ruffy by KO or sub, minus 175. That's free cheese, guys. That is absolutely free cheese there. I just simply don't see a way that James Llontop does not get finished in this fight. So this is very straightforward. For the money line odds to be minus 900 and then a double chance KO or sub to be minus 175, smash this all day. Moving on to the next fight, which is Viviane Araujo. She is taking on Karine Silva. Man, Karine Silva, I'm a huge fan. She is really, really, really goddamn good. Probably my favorite up-and-coming women's fighter. She's 30 years old. Like I said, I thought she was a little bit younger. Viviane Araujo is 37 and very much on the downtrend of her career. Karine Silva has won all 4 of her UFC fights, 3 of them by brutal finish, by submission. But she's got really good power on the feet too, man. Really good power on the feet. Viviane Araujo is 1-3, right? So I think absolutely there's value here. Of course, I wish in a women's fight that we weren't at almost a minus 300. But this is one of the rare times I'm going to simply bet on talent, man. I'm taking Karine Silva. That's my official bet. Karine Silva on the money line. I just trust her to get it done. You could pick her by finish if you want even better odds. I just don't quite trust it. We saw her last fight go to decision. And I just kind of think that that's, it is certainly in the realm of possibilities. Viviane Araujo has fought a lot of really good talent, and she's too much of a veteran of the sport for me to fully trust Karine Silva by finish. But my official bet is going to be her on the money line at minus 298. Moving on to the next fight, we've got Bo Nickal, who is now an absurd minus 1,200 favorite over Paul Craig, who has been in the UFC forever, dropped down to middleweight several fights ago. He is a plus 750 underdog to Bo Nickal. These odds are fucking crazy. They're crazy. Literally, we don't see anybody else get these kind of odds against anybody. There's just simply no value. I mean, Bo Nickal's going to win. Let's get that out of the way, right? The UFC knows what they're doing with him. They're kind of tailor fitting his matchups to him. He's absolutely gonna win this fight. Minus 1,200 is just too insane to bet. I think we're very, very live for a Bo Nickal finish here. I could see a knockout. I believe Dino picked knockout in the first round. I actually am picking Bo Nickal to get a submission. I think he's going to clip Paul Craig at some point, drop him, and then at some point get a sub. No matter what we do agree on is that we do agree on a finish here for Bo Nickal, and the odds are much better on this. Minus 575. It's still fucking crazy, and probably more than anything, you use this to spice up your parlay a little bit. It's a pretty safe bet, all things considered. I'm taking it. That's the official bet. Minus 575 for Bo Nickal on the finish. Moving on. Next fight. The co-main event. We've got Charles "Do Bronx" Oliveira. He is taking on Iron Mike Chandler. Look, guys, we've seen this fight. This fight has a lot of possible ways that it could go, right? We could see Mike Chandler get a knockout in the first round. It's very possible. He almost did it the first fight, right? He looks to be in incredible shape. Yes, he's had 2 years off. Yes, he's 38 years old. But if you know Mike Chandler, like that was the interesting contrast between him and Conor, right? It's Conor's out here partying on a yacht and getting slapped and doing all this shit and doing blow and whatever the fuck he's doing. Mike Chandler is just going fucking ham in the gym, right? So yes, he hasn't had. It's not like he's been in camp for 2 years, right? But he's a workout freak. The guy, if you look at his body, the guy is powerful as hell. He's got good wrestling. He almost finished Charles Oliveira. If it was a different, more sensitive ref, and if it wasn't Charles Oliveira, maybe that fight would have been called on the spot when he dropped Charles. But we know how it ended, right? Charles Oliveira ended up clipping Michael Chandler and getting the TKO finish. Charles Oliveira by sub is also a possibility. I could see it going a decision in a hard-fought fight. I could see it finishing in the first round. So all that being said, guys, this is just kind of get your popcorn out and bite your nails, and because what's interesting too is like we all university just love Do Bronx, like every single MMA fan, and I respect the shit out of that. So this is one for many reasons that I just listed. I'm just simply not going to bet it. I don't feel comfortable. If you're going to bet anything, I just want to say this. If you are going to bet anything on this one, you bet Mike Chandler by knockout, right? You bet Mike Chandler by knockout, maybe even by first round knockout. I'm certainly not putting that in a parlay, but if for a little degenerate sprinkle, I think it's very possible. Plus 215 on a guy that almost finished Charles Oliveira the first time around, there's actual value in that for sure. So not a bad dog bet there if you want to go for it. So, all right. And last and certainly not least, we are at the main event. And guys, if you haven't yet, just hit that subscribe button. All right. I'm giving you all this shit for free. I'm not charging you a Patreon. I'm not doing none of that shit. Right. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Maybe go check us out on Instagram at the107MMA. We've got pictures with John Jones and all kinds of other shit. The vibes are a little bit different there. Also, new fans, thank you for stopping in and checking us out. Old subscribers as well, thanks for being here. All right, let's get right down to it. Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic is the main event. Jon Jones is a minus 625 favorite versus Stipe, who is a plus 455 dog. Guys, Jon Jones is going to win this fight. I'm trying to imagine a situation that could possibly happen where Stipe wins this. And yes, when Jon Jones fights bigger guys, he's had some trouble in the past, right? You see what Reyes did. I personally thought Reyes won that fight. A one-legged Thiago Santos. That was a damn close fight too, right? This is an older Jon Jones, but he's fighting a 42-year-old Stipe Miocic who has been out of the game for almost 5 years, right? And now he's fighting the greatest of all time, right? As far as pure ring talent. Also, they're in New York. They're using the old gloves conveniently. And what do you know? 12-6 elbows are now legal. I expect Jon Jones to get a late first round TKO finish. I think at some point, I think he's going to strike a little bit with Stipe. Maybe I could even see second round. I just think at some point we're going to end up on the ground, and I think Jon Jones is going to brutalize Stipe. I think he's going to drop brutal elbows from the top position and just wreck Stipe, cut him open, and we'll get a TKO finish. I could see a sub. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is Jon Jones is going to get a finish in this. And Jon Jones by finish is my official bet, and that is at minus 250. That's free cheese. I also think that's free cheese. I don't see Stipe lasting in a 5-rounder with Jon Jones, 42 years old. Where's his cardio? Yes, the power is the last to go. So look, it's MMA. At the end of the day, anything's fucking possible, right? Could Stipe land a big shot and knock Jon Jones out? Yes, but that would be fucking crazy. And I just don't. That's not gonna happen. We don't see that happening. It's not gonna happen. That's it. Those are all the individual fights that I have for you guys. But I just wanted to throw it out there. I'm not telling you to do this, right? But if you were to parlay all the 9 picks that I just gave you, that would be odds of plus 4,865 plus 4,865. So you bet $100, you would make back $4,865. Again, I'm not telling you to do that. It's your money. I'm not here. I'm just telling you what I would do. Ultimately, it's your decision, right? However, if you want it to be a little bit safer and, just kind of still be a little bit of a degenerate and make a parlay, I do have a parlay for you. We'll call it the parlay of the week. So with that being said, here's what I would probably parlay on a little bit of a safer parlay overall. We've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 5 items, okay? Here's what they are. I'm going to go with Martinez money line. I'm going to go with Mauricio Ruffy by finish. I'm going to go with Karine Silva on the money line. I'm a big fan, and I really do believe she's going to get this done. And we're going to go Bo by finish, and we're going to go Jon Jones by finish. If you were to parlay those 5 items together, you've got odds of plus 658. So you bet $100, you get back $658. I like that one, man. I really do. Obviously, Jonathan Martinez is the riskiest of those picks. He's at plus money. I just don't think you're going to get – I think there's a talent discrepancy, and the odds are kind of off. I think they could be flip-flop. So that's the reason he's in there, and that's the reason I think that this is going to hit. So, in any case, let me know what you guys think. If you have your own thoughts on this card from a betting perspective, let me know. If you haven't yet, go check out the quick picks. Go check out the full card breakdown if you feel like you haven't gotten your fill of UFC 309 yet before the fight happens. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And look out for the post-fight video that we're going to drop immediately after UFC 309. Thank you guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.